All right, we still do have a few more people coming in, but we're going to go ahead and get started here. It's about 3 minutes after 11. So welcome once again to our Microvellum-LIVE event for this second day of August 2017. These events are live, and we host these weekly for your benefit, whether you are already a Microvellum user or looking to learn a bit more about our software and options. Either way, we're glad to have you here with us. If this is the first time you've participated in our live events, I want to take a few moments just to explain how today's session is going to work. As you've already noticed, and if you're already most likely familiar with GoToWebinar, that's the streaming platform that we're using. And that is the palette that you see docked most likely to the right side of your screen. You can easily minimize it by hitting that, that orange arrow, dock it off to hide it. But that is your main platform for asking questions. It's also your line of communication to our presenter today. So we also have some techs working behind the scene to answer your questions. And on deck on that help desk, we have Shane Governor, who will also be a presenter, Daniel Peel, who will be also showing you a little bit today on some of the new things that we've been working on, and Dominic Flores, and myself, Clay Swayze. So we're looking forward to helping you, so don't be shy about asking your questions. In case you're wondering, this webinar is being recorded, and you will be emailed a link to it tomorrow. All right, so we have prepared something special for you today. If you're an existing customer, then you know that we've been working on our 15.5 update for a while now, and we're coming up on the release date for it. And so this version is actually available in a beta program, or will be soon, and perhaps some of you might be interested in that, or maybe even using an early version of that beta. Let's actually run a quick poll here. I'm curious to know how many people or what version people are using, so I'm going to launch that poll in just a few moments here. So if you can answer those questions there, we are curious to see what type of people we have in the webinar today, what version people are using. Just leave it open a little bit longer. 44% voted. All right. Looks like the majority we're getting in here is running version 15.4 or older. A few people that are running version 6.7 still. Some people not sure what version they're using. That's okay. All right, I think we'll go ahead and stop the poll. That's good enough. Great, so it looks like the majority of people here are using version 15.4 or older. Like I said, some are using 6.7. So I think this is going to be a good webcast for you, or a good event for you to get an understanding of where we're at, where we're headed, and the things that we've been working on to release this 15.5 update. So we actually have a few people helping us out today, and I mentioned some of those. But first up, we're going to hear from Dominic Flores. He's a tech guru and head of development here at Microvellum. And we also have Daniel Peel, longtime user, product specialist working in development, and then Shane Governor's courses from our product quality team. So let's get right to it. Dominic, are you ready to step up?
Yeah.
Perfect.
How's everybody doing today? We're happy to be participating in this live event here. We've got two of our core developers that are going to be talking to you, and then our PQ admin guy, Shane, product quality administration. That's what he takes care of for us. So you guys are in for a treat, I think. We're pretty excited about the 15.5 build that we're going to be releasing here in the next couple of months. And so what we're trying to do is build anticipation for what's coming there, and get everybody excited about it and ready to update to it when it's available. So I'll just give you a rundown of what we're going to be hearing today. First, we're going to be talking to Daniel. He's going to be showing us the new Spec Groups interface. Before, we just had a Spec Group UI where you could work with one item at a time, but instead we've now got a specification group management platform that he's going to be demonstrating for us. Then we're going to have Clay demonstrate some of the new builder technology that is going to be released with 15.5. If you were present at TechCon, you may have seen some of the updates that we made to extruded products inside of the builder, and then we are now demonstrating the ability to work with non-extruded custom products or unique products. So we'll hear more about that. We also made some adjustments to Solid Model Analyzer. We're finding out that people are using this part of our program almost for every job. A lot of guys that we talk to have really become dependent on it, so we're happy to give you some updates on that. And then finally, we're going to interview Shane. He sees all the tickets that come across through tech support and into development. So we're going to find out some numbers from him that you might be interested in knowing. So to begin with, let's go ahead and give our attention to Daniel, and he's going to be talking to us about the specification group management screen we've got now.
All right, can you hear me okay, Dominic?
I can.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me, and good morning, everybody. I'm kind of excited to show you what we've done with the spec groups. We didn't really have this spec group rework on our roadmap for the 15.5 release, but after we were talking to people at TechCon, it became clear that every time we mentioned spec groups, there's kind of a cringe, and we could really help our users save a lot of time in managing the spec groups and making tools that can make this process a lot easier. So when we got back after TechCon, we kind of took all that feedback and started iterating on a new interface and new tools that can help our users manage the spec groups. And it was kind of cool, the whole process that we went through. The initial design that we had set up for the spec group interface was completely different than how it actually turned out. What happened is we kind of had another way to edit the variables. So you guys are probably familiar with the project interface here. We have the ability to actually come in and edit the project wizard and globals, and we kind of duplicated that. And we kind of had a lot of the guys go back to the forums and read people's requests as to what could make this process easier for them. And we actually came up with something completely different. So to show you that here, I'm going to go ahead and launch Advanced Project Setup. I just have a project started here. And here's the new interface. It's a lot more visual, and we actually have a way to actually manage the components themselves. What I'm going to do is go ahead and create a workflow here just to kind of show you how this interface works. So we can see that we have spec groups on our left-hand side. So these are the spec groups that are currently available in this project. And what I'm going to do is first just create a brand new spec group so we can kind of see what's going on in here. So up at the top we have copy selected spec group. So here we have our HPDL, and this has PL1 materials in here, which are default materials inside of our material file are all set to PL1. So just to kind of show you guys a workflow of some of the tools that we got by feedback off of the forums, we have the copy spec group here, and I'll go ahead and select that button, and I'm going to go ahead and name this PL5. Just as a new plastic laminate color. And here I'm going to go ahead and create a copy of the edge band and the cut parts files. So I'm going to go name this our new cut parts file PL5 and our edge band file as Imperial Material PL5. Now we have an option here to launch a find and replace, and what this is going to allow us to do is actually edit the names of the materials for this cut parts file and edge band file without having to go into the material file. So let's go ahead and copy this, and it's going to go ahead and set this as the current spec group, and then we have the ability to find and replace anything inside of the cut parts file and the edge band file. So we know that we started off with PL1, so we'll go ahead and use PL1 here, and we're going to go ahead and replace this with PL5 and replace text. It lets us know that 38 material records were found and 7 edge band records were found. And if we look inside of our new spec groups, we now have a HPDL PL5. So real quickly, we can create a brand new spec group, edit the materials in there, and if we'll go ahead and set this as the current one, we can look into the material file here real quickly just by launching our material file up at the top. And we can see that all of our materials that were originally named PL1 are now set to PL5. So just a real quick way to eliminate some of the steps of creating a spec group, creating a new cut parts file, going into the material file, and renaming your materials for that spec group. Let's go ahead and just kind of review this interface a little bit more now that we have some more spec groups in here. We can see, as I mentioned, the spec group on the left. So these are all the spec groups and the components that are assigned to them. And on the right-hand side, we actually have all of the components for this project. So we have our project wizard components, global files, our cut parts files, edge band, hardware, and door wizard. And what's really cool is that all of this information will give us, we can visually see what's going on and what is currently assigned by just clicking on the different items inside the trees. So For instance, we only have one global file in here. We can go ahead and select that, and we can see everything gets highlighted in blue that is using this same global file. So real quickly, we can see that if we were to go and edit this global file, all of the other spec groups would be affected. But for instance, the PL1 material here, this is the only one that is currently assigned to that. So if we select PL1, we can see that nothing else gets highlighted, and we can really quickly see that that one is assigned. Now you guys are probably all familiar with the assign button here. If we ever want to change any of the materials or components to the spec group, we can go ahead and just select let's just go and select this project wizard, and I made a new one already. I'll show you guys how we do that, but we'll go ahead and select that, and we just hit the assign, and that assigns that project wizard file to the spec group. Now we tried to make it as error-proof as possible, so if we select a global file and we have a project wizard selected, it's going to let us know that these aren't the same type of components, so ensure that the right ones are selected. So it's not going to allow you to mismatch anything that shouldn't be mismatched, and should be really easy to quickly see what's going on. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few of the other tools for editing spec groups here. Here we have 4 commands. This is allow us to open the individual components. So if we want to actually open the project wizard for our selected spec group, you'll see that little check mark there lets us know that this is the one that is the active spec group, and when we hit the project wizard, it's going to go and open up the project wizard for that spec group. So we can do the same for the global file, material file, and the door wizard. But we've also added a new button here, which is the Open Workbook Designer. And what this will do is launch Workbook Designer, so we can actually go in and edit the spreadsheets for the for that spec group component. So here we have access to the wizard file, which was a little hard to get to before. So now you can quickly edit the wizard spreadsheet right from the spec group interface here. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other ones. Here we have the ability to, as I showed you, copy a spec group. We can rename it. If we delete a spec group, this is kind of tricky because before we had component files assigned to them, and since we're just dealing with spec groups here, it's not going to actually delete any of the component files. So let's just go ahead and do that. We'll delete our HPDL file here, and we can see that it deleted that spec group, but it left the component files here, and it lets us know we have another color here, orange. And this is letting us know that this component file isn't currently used in this project. So if we were to select it, nothing is actually going to be highlighted in blue because this component file currently isn't being used. If we were to change this out, we can see that it's going to go from orange to selected to blue, and the PL1 grain is now turned orange. So again, really visually able to see what we're doing inside of the spec groups. The toolbars on the right work exactly the same as we have the copy components, but now we're just going to be dealing with the component files themselves. So if we wanted to make a new project wizard file, we can go ahead and just copy an existing one, give it a new name, and now we have this available to get assigned to any of our spec group component files or our spec group objects. A few other ones, we can pull in components from the template. So if we had ones that were inside of our template that aren't in this project, we can go ahead and pull those in from the template. And then we have the ability to also revert the component from the template. So if we've made changes to, say, the global file and we just want to pull in the global file from the template, we have the ability to just quickly pull that in and revert it. So a lot of cool features that have been added. To kind of show you another new one too, we have one step that took many steps previously was the ability to save a component back to our template. And what we've done is we've simplified that a lot. Here for the component, we'll have our HPDL PL5, which we just created for this project. And if we wanted to save this back to the template, we would just select this button here. And what this is going to do is just let us know what's going to happen when we save this. So it let us know that we didn't have a template component called HPDL PL5, and so that's going to get created into our template. Along with that, we didn't have a cut parts file named PL5 and an edge band named PL5, so it's going to create those as well. Anything that isn't listed here is just going to use the standard template components that were assigned to it, so it's going to use the existing global template file. So let's go ahead and save that, and let's actually take a look in the template setup, because this interface is exactly the same. You will notice one difference here. We tried to highlight it a little bit more that you're inside the template by making this bright red, so that way you won't accidentally edit any template components that you meant to be when you're meant to be editing the project. So, and we can see that we have our HPDL-PO5 material or spec group with those new files in there. So that's all I had to show, Dominic. Hope that everyone is really excited about what we have here, as it will hopefully save a lot of time for managing spec groups and spec group components in the future.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to do was encourage everybody that if you have questions, please go ahead and type them into your question box there. There's a little menu on that palette for you to do so. You don't have to necessarily restrict those to questions. If you think something's cool or awesome, throw a thumbs up or a smiley face or a cool in there. We really like to know what you guys think for sure. I want to highlight one of the things that Daniel said. We were not scheduled to do a specification group management tool for this 15.5 release, but in April, when we were at TechCon, it was just a hot topic when we were talking to everybody from the stage, when we were speaking with our users one-on-one at lunchtime, at breakfast. People were concerned about this, so we decided to shift around some priorities and make what you guys felt was important to us as well. So something kind of cool that came out of TechCon for sure. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the 15.5 that we're going to demonstrate for you. Clay is going to show you some of the cool new stuff we have with our builder technology. So, Clay, are you about ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Just let me get my screen shared here. All right, let's see. Yep, you can see me. That's good. All right, so yeah, thanks again, Dominic. So many of you watching today have heard about our solid modeling tools, tools that allow you to build die walls and reception areas, fixtures, and other similar types of products. And if you've been following us lately, you've probably even heard about the unique product builder that we featured at our TechCon user group event back in April, or maybe even saw it at the recent trade show we had in Las Vegas or in Australia. Well, today I will be showcasing the latest advancements. We've even updated it since those shows. One of those advancements resulted in the merging of the two palettes. What you'll be seeing in the next few minutes is a workflow that allows you to utilize the full power of both types of the solid modeling technology or the builder technology for extrusions as well as unique or custom products. So here we are in AutoCAD 2018. We have a project open already, and I have the drawing open as well. I have the two viewports here. On the left side, you'll see the 2D that includes quite a few sample sections. If I come over here, you can see some of these other types of section views that we use to create extruded products. Hopefully some of you have seen some of these before, whether they are curved or serpentine or tapered, different things like that. These are some samples that we've included. But in this demo, we are going to focus on something simple, just to show you the power of what we've done in merging these two palettes. So let me get this out of the way here so I have a little bit more drawing space. Over here on the right-hand side, we have another 2D drawing, but this one's a little bit more simple. This one has no smart layers that would define some of the properties as to how this product is going to be constructed. These are just 2D lines. They're polylines that are going to be representing parts. So let me get things set up here so I can begin this. All right, so over here on my right-hand side of the monitor here of AutoCAD, we also have another palette that's docked, and this is our product builder palette. And so for those of you who have been using Extruded Product Builder or even seen some of these tools, you'll notice that it looks a little bit different. And what we've done, as I mentioned at the onset of this, is that we have merged the two technologies, and that a lot of that has to go with the workflows on how you actually can use both the technologies simultaneously. And so having everything in one palette just kind of made sense to everybody. So this is what I'm going to show you today. So here we have a tree view, and this tree view is the area that you can add products. You can see the product lists and control, which you'll see here in a minute. All the different options within different types of products, whether it be a custom product or an extruded product. Here we have a tab for the custom tools. So if you're working on something that's like a closet or a understair cabinet or something like that, you can use these tools, and we'll get into how some of these work when we build this, what's going to be a locker product. And then of course we have the extruded tools. And so here we have our options for creating products, for getting into the Smart Layer Manager, moving parts around, and then working with some of the joints and things like that. So we'll get into using these. So let's get started with this. This is going to be a custom locker. This is actually a base assembly that was submitted by one of our users. So a shout out to Ken Lane for that. So we are going to be using that in this demo. So to get started, let's go ahead and add a product. So the first thing we have is this part hasn't really changed, but we're going to name this our lockers. And we have options here for what type of product we're going to create, whether it's going to be an extruded product or a custom product from a specific view, or even from existing solids. And so in this one, we are going to choose from the front view, since we're going to be working with this front view of this locker. And here we have some options, so we can specify the product depth, whether or not we have a back on this or not, and different options for the machining of all the parts. And so I have this set up for dado. And I'll just go ahead and accept all these defaults. So the next thing we do is we highlight all the 2D lines and we pick a reference point. So you can see that it's taken all those lines and turned them into parts, looking at the material that I specified for the thickness of those solids. And we've also added all the machining. So you can see there we have the dados for all those parts and how they connected, and that came from the option that I selected. I could have used miters or butt joints, things like that, but in this case I am choosing dados for my default. But you can see over here one place where the dado didn't quite work out, and that's for this miter area. So let's get into how we can modify some of this. So we can go over here to our custom tools, and we can see we have some options for fixing this or adjusting this. So this is our joint options we're going to look at. So here's where I was mentioning we have the ability for butt joints. We have dados, we have miters, we have half laps, doweling, and then even dado and doweling at the same time. And so we're going to choose this option here for miters, and we're just going to fix this corner up. There, and that works out just as we'd expect. But there's some other things that we might want to do. This might not be how you would construct this, but for the purpose of this demo, I want to show you the full power of how flexible and easy it is to use these tools. Let's go ahead and add some doweling to some of these interior parts. So we can just select here, and these are some options that we have. It remembers the last settings that we chose. So let's go ahead and accept those defaults. We're going to be spacing those at 4 inches. If we wanted to, we can put a comma delimited array of numbers if we wanted those at specific dimensions, but we're just going to go ahead and accept the defaults. So we can select the male part and female, and we can begin assigning our machining. So it's right now in a loop. That's why I'm able to select multiple parts at the same time. But I think you can see the power of being able to work right in AutoCAD. Never left AutoCAD or haven't left AutoCAD, and I'm fully customizing this product. There's no formulas entered. I am just in the process of creating the solid model that we'll then analyze in the next part of this process. All right, so that's an example of some of the machining options that we have. Like I said, we have all these options that can be interchanged at any time. But let's go ahead and configure this a little bit more. So maybe we want to have some cubbies down here in this locker. So let's choose our dividers. And again, it remembered the last setting that I was at with these dividers. So we're going to choose 3 and 3 for my openings, and we'll just accept all those defaults, and we define the boundary that we are going to be inserting this insert into. So if we zoom out, we can see that it created the parts. In this option, or in this example, we have half lap. This might not be how you construct it, but that's the settings that I've chosen for this, and we can just continue on if we wanted to for this one, this opening next door to it. And there we have it. So again, those options that I had when I inserted this were for specific for dado construction. So that's why we have the dados there. And so that's working out well. So in this next option, let's go up here and look at what we have for our drawers. So I'm going to put a drawer in here. And so you can see here we have similar options for controlling the material, for controlling the drawer box heights, how it's constructed, things like that. So I'm just going to accept the defaults and once again define the opening. And I'll do that one more time and then we'll look at what we got. All right, so there we have it. We have our drawers in here. We have the machining for the drawers. But one thing I noticed, let's make a change here. After this is drawn, we still have the ability to go in and modify this. And I actually want to raise this up to 8 inches and maybe suck this back to 18 inches. And so we can see that those changes are made there for us. And let's do the same thing for this one. Raise this up to 8 inches and suck this back up to 18 inches. All right, so that might give us a little bit more gap back there for whatever we needed that for. So that worked out. So let's continue on with some of these options. So let's work on this, this opening right here, this narrow one. So let's go into our shelving options. We can go into our shelving options and we have different types of shelves. We have, let me go back here. We have adjustable shelves. We have fixed. We even have adjustable shelf with using standard. So we're actually, in this case, we're going to go with fixed. And we're going to put a shelf setback at 0. We want those to be flush. And we're going to set a quantity of 4 for that. And we'll go ahead and define the opening. There, that worked out nicely. Now let's deal with this, this kind of weird shape here. Maybe this is up against a ceiling or something like that to where this had to be angled for whatever reason. But let's go ahead and put a set of double doors here. Watch what we do for that. So again, here's my door options. I'll set, we can have control over the material, over the overlap, control over the overlaps and distance between the doors. So let's just hit OK to that and we'll continue on. And you'll notice here I've been picking a point here in the front. I didn't really explain that, but that's to indicate which side of this product we want to put those on. So whether it's the front side or the back side. And so in this case, I am clicking on the front because that's where I want it. So there's the doors. You can see what we did there. It actually matched the angle, that 45-degree angle of what the associated boundary was. And so that works out just like we'd expect. All right, let me quickly get into the rest of this. We're going to go and add some more shelving, and this time we are going to be choosing some adjustable shelves, and we're going to have 2 of them, and we'll have a setback of 1.25, and let's see here. Yep, we'll hit OK to that, and we'll put some shelves here. So again, hopefully you guys are asking some questions. Now's a good time. This will take me just a few more seconds, but good time to be asking some of those questions. This is completely new. Most of you guys have not probably seen this, so we're excited to get your feedback on how this is working. Looks like I jumped out of that command accidentally.
So one of the things, Clay, that one of our viewers is asking for, Rich Winokur, is he wants to see us change the material thickness on one of those parts and watch the dados update. So I'm sure we could do that to, yeah, one of those adjustable shelves right there would be good.
Yep, we can do that. So maybe I think those came in at 1/2 inch or something like that. So maybe we do want to change that. And yeah, Dominic's right. This will change, and I'll show you how that works. So for this one, I inserted that. It did select the default there. But let's go and modify that. So that is an insert, and we can always go back and modify those inserts. And it recognized what it is, and it is set up at a 1/2 inch material. And so maybe we want that to be 3/4 inch material. I don't know. And we'll go ahead and hit OK. So we can see there with the material change right there in those properties, we can see how that impacted the dado. If we were to chosen a smaller one, then of course it would react the same way and have a little bit narrower of a dado. So hopefully that answered your question on that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish out here with a set of double doors here, and then we'll get on with the rest of it. Notice here how I'm selecting multiple parts, even parts that have other parts in there running down the center of them. So that works out, and we'll just continue on. And one more and we'll be done. All right, so let's switch into a different mode so we can see what we've got. I like switching into that mode. So we can see this custom product that we've created on the fly. We never left AutoCAD, and we were able to totally create a custom product in just a few minutes. It would have probably taken me less time, but I explained along the way. So let's add the next component of this, next part, and that's going to be showcasing some of the extruded type tools that we have. And so there's different use cases for each of these tools that we have. Just like with any tool, there's always a specific use, and these tools here were designed specifically for working with custom products, inserting shelves and dividers and doors and drawers and all those types of things. But let's go and work on something that is a little bit different. And so to do that, we'll go back to our tree view and we'll right click and add. Once again, you don't have to do it that way. If I will go over to the extruded tools, I have the same option for creating a new one in here. I just get in the habit of working in this UI. All right, so we're going to choose extruded product starter this time. Make sure we give this a locker base. That works out. And then we select the construction path. So you can see here, this is your first opportunity to see how this combined palette works. And so we have the lockers product, which is more of a custom unique type product, and then we have an extruded product. Both of them have a little bit different options. Here we have parts, joints, and inserts. Here we have construction paths and extruded parts and supplemental parts and smart layer. There's just different options within each of them. And so from this unified palette, we're able to control both of them. And so I think it works out really well. It improves the workflow tremendously. So let's go ahead and add some parts. So once again, just as a refresher course for some of you who might not understand how this works, this is just a simple section view. In the beginning, I showed how here's all these different samples that we've worked on, whether you're creating seating areas or die walls or millwork walls, whatever you call them. We are just going to be focusing on just this simple one right here, which is kind of a base assembly here for this locker product. So to do that, to add some parts, we're just going to right click and highlight all of these parts for the 2D drawing that represent all those parts. And so if you blinked, you missed it, but it did create the 3D parts for that. And so let me switch out to a different view, go into X-ray. And so you can see all the interior parts, how that's constructed, the different buildup that we have on here, the machining for the dados, all of that came from this section view. And according to how the instructions for these parts were defined, that it listened to those instructions and did it accordingly. So if I wanted to control the distance between these vertical parts or the dado depths, things like that, that's all controlled from this view right here in these smart layers, as we call them. So let's make this thing look like it should. Let's go back to our custom product tools and we will move this product, and all I have to do is select on a part, select a base point for it, and then I will move it into place. All right, just a second or two here to be done. There we go. So now this is what our product is going to look like when it's installed. We can see we've got a custom base assembly there. But what if, let's make some changes actually here. Let me show you the power of this palette a little bit more. So we've moved all these parts together and things are kind of overlapping, and we want to get in here to the guts of it and make some changes. So let's go in here and see what we can do for that. So here I can turn off my locker product altogether. I can even dive into here and start turning off some parts and working with parts underneath all this. So let's use this option here. This is kind of slick. We can search for a tool, find and seek I think it's called, and we're going to find that one. And so there it jumps us right to that part, and we can simply turn that off. So now we can get in here and see exactly what we have inside here in this base assembly, and we can work with it a little bit. So maybe this one right here is not needed. It's kind of an extra part. It's maybe too much support in there. It just followed the instructions, right, for the distance between parts, so it placed one there, but maybe I don't want it. So I can go into my extruded tools, and this is the area where we can do things like move parts around. We can rotate them. We can copy them. We can even use alternate stud profiles or alternate profiles, and I'll show you that in a minute. And we can even insert joints, move joints around, stretch parts, things like that. And so in this case, we are going to delete this. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to delete that vertical entity, and you'll notice that the machining went away because there is no part there anymore. Let me pause for just a second. Dominic, do we have any questions that we might want to work on?
So the one that I did want to answer that I didn't, it came in about, I don't know, 6 or 7 times. I didn't want to have to type the same answer, was what about the hardware with that custom product? So hardware is a pretty big animal to deal with. So instead of restricting the release of this entire module just because of hardware, we decided we will make this module great. It will work with everything that it's designed to do. And then on the 2.0 coming next year, we will go ahead and give you the ability to work with hardware. So we've got something planned. If you guys were at TechCon, you probably heard us talking about a hardware manager. If you weren't there, then you're getting kind of a sneak peek into what we've got planned. We're looking at adding a hardware manager so it's easier to import hardware from a vendor or maybe a new piece of hardware that you've got. With that, some of the hardware technology is going to change. It's going to make it easier for us to incorporate into the builder technology. So that will be coming, the ability to work with hardware with these custom products will all come at the same time. So you have to keep your ear to the ground for that one.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Dominic. All right. So getting back to this, again, if there's any other questions that we need to highlight live here, you just let me know and I'll stop. It's fine. So let's see, where was I? All right, let's get back into this. So what I was doing was I was removing some vertical parts in here, maybe parts that were unnecessary. But let's take this a step further. One of the other options that we have here is to use an alternate profile. And so in a lot of cases in some of these sections up here, you'll see that we've got some wire chases, different machining options for whatever reason on the interior parts of those studs. So maybe that wouldn't be the case in here, but I wanted to show you how easy it was to control the machining on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a copy of this and we're going to drag this down just a little bit. It's fine. And we are going to add a circle for some machining, and let's put it at maybe 1/2 inch. That's fine. So we'll go ahead and activate this option to replace, actually before I, zoom in here. And so we're going to select the 3D first, and then we're going to select the 2D. And you can see that it's doing exactly what it's labeled as. It's using an alternate profile. So this is the alternate profile for that stud. And so we can go through here and do this a couple more times if we wanted to. For all those interior parts, you can see that the process is relatively easy. It's just point and click on the specific parts that you want to impact, and it applies the machining or changes out the profile. Another thing that's pretty nice is that these parts are linked to the 2D. So here we have some machining. Maybe you got to run up some electrical into there or whatever you're doing there, but maybe you want to change that. So let's move this. Pay attention to the right side of the monitor or right viewport here. I'm going to move this 9 inches, and you'll notice that the 3D is updated. So that's pretty nice. They both stay in sync without any other additional work required. So that works out nice. So let's put things back. Let's get it back to the way that we wanted it to be, to where we can actually see the whole finished product that we worked on, and we can turn everything back on. And there, once again, is our fully custom, what I would call a locker or workstation, maybe for art supplies or for sport equipment, whatever it might be. So anyways, that was a quick demonstration of some of the tools found in our product builder technology, but let's take this a step further. Let's go, and I know a lot of you have been asking questions about this. Let's take this a step further, and we are going to save this as a Microvellum product and create some machining for this, some nested parts. So we have a couple different ways we can do that. So if we look at the tree view here, we can right-click and save. And so what that will do is that will save that individual product as a Microvellum product, assigning it an item number, and then allowing you to either include it in the project or draw it here in AutoCAD. But for what I want to do, I want to combine all of these two products to make them one. And so to do that, I'm going to bring open Toolbox again, and I'm going to use this option here that we have for Solid Model Analyzer. And so this is an area where Dominic's going to get into a little later, but for this process, this is what I want to use. So I'm going to window all of them. So actually, before I do that, let me just explain for just a couple of seconds on what we did. So this product builder technology basically automated and simplified the process of creating these solid parts. We were able to insert parts like adjustable shelves, like drawers and doors and different things, and have it impact the solid. So in reality, that's what we did. We're providing tools that allow you to quickly build the product as a solid model. And so now this next part, this is where we get into some of the heavy lifting. And so this is actually analyzing all these parts and is looking at all the features, looking at all the holes and figuring out if it's got to use a drill versus a router and all those things to turn it into a fully CNC ready product. So we'll highlight all of them and we'll hit enter. And it's going through, doing its thing, analyzing all those parts, doing all those things that I just mentioned, and it should be done here in just a second or two. All right, so it found some material. So let's go ahead and assign this. Let's go with, that's fine. And the 1/2 inch material, let's go with that. There we go. So here we have some options. We can save it to the current project and draw in the current drawing. We can skip the drawing process if we wanted to. We can even save it to a different project if we wanted to, or even save it back to the library. Maybe we want to add some parametrics to it. You know, this is a quick way to create parts and pieces that you might want to then add parametrics to later. But in this demonstration, we are going to just draw it in the current project. I'll hit OK, and then maybe put it somewhere right here is good. All right, it's working on it. Sometimes GoToMeeting causes a little bit of a lag in my machine, but it looks like it's working on it. There we go. All right, that's done. Let's go back in here and look at what we've got. So we can see that we've got all the angles, we have the miters, we have the machining for the dados. Everything matches up with a mirror copy of what we had created from just the solid model, but one thing's different. These are now Microvellum parts, and this is now a Microvellum product with machinable parts, and so you can see we have the item number down there below. So we can draw a part in 2D and see some of the machining for that, but let's skip that. I'll let Dominic focus more of that when he gets into the solid model analyzer tools and how that all works. For this case, I'm going to go ahead and let's get some nests created for this. So I'm going to make a work order, and here's my project, my room, and that was item 1.04. So I'm going to process that. There we go. And we will, yes, we want to edit the work order. And we'll load all those parts. And so you can see we've got all the part dimensions, the width, widths of all those parts, some comments in here as well, and all the information that you'd expect. So let's go ahead and assign this processing station. We're going to select all the parts, apply the processing station. So now we have that assigned to our default nest. And I'm going to process these parts. This should take about 5 seconds or so, maybe 10 seconds. Okay, actually 13 seconds, that's fine. And we will now open the drawing. Let's go into this here, and we'll look at the composite, and we can see what we ended up with. Here's our angled parts. Here's our half-lap divider inserts. Here's our doors. Let's zoom out here. We can see we have our, I think these are some of the interior parts where I assigned some doweling. We have our adjustable shelf holes and all the other machining that you would expect or that you would need. And here's those parts of our base assembly that we had. So anyways, that is pretty much it. So you can see we went from a simple 2D drawing, started with a 2D drawing, and we were able to create the 3D parts from it, which we then pushed out to the nest. And so again, this was a pretty simple demonstration of the power of what we have with this tool. But one of the other things that I'm going to highlight some of the other things. So this is some of the other products that I've designed in maybe this one we showcased at the last AWFS show. You can create something like this in about 10 minutes. These are other examples of parts or products that we've created with these tools. You can do closets with them. You can do custom furniture, even under-stair cabinetry. These tools make it very easy to create products like that. So let's see, do we have any other questions that we need to get to related to this, Dominic?
I'm trying to catch up on the read here.
Yeah, it definitely looks like we have lots of questions on this.
Oh, I like this question. Angela Gallegos wants to know where she can get a Microvellum wallpaper for her computer. I bet you can give that as a handout on this, couldn't you, Clay?
Yeah, we can.
All right. So again, maybe some people were tuned out. A couple people are asking again about the drawer slides and the hardware. Hardware is going to be coming in 2.0 of the product builder. So we'll take a look at it then. All right. Well, you got anything else, Clay? Any other questions?
I think that's it. I think, again, I just want to highlight that this was a fairly simple example of Extruded Product Builder, and some of these other sections that we've got up here allow you to create some pretty complex things, things that go along that are curved and tapered. So definitely lots of power here. This was a pretty quick example to show you how these two technologies came together to create kind of an awesome workflow, I think, that our users will learn to appreciate.
All right. So we've got another interesting question. What is the 2.0 release date? 2.0 means not now, later. Just kind of joking with you. What Clay is showing you right now is actually still in beta. So the first release is of this builder technology is going to be coming out with 15.5. That's coming out here in the next couple of months. As far as updates to the rest of the builder technology, we'll be able to announce those as the year progresses. Probably at TechCon in April of 2018, we'll be giving more details as to what updates have been made to it. But we hope that doesn't prevent you guys from using it. For sure, there's a lot of power in there. And we hope that you guys are able to take advantage of it. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next section of our demonstration here. Clay, did you have anything else?
Nope, that's about it.
All right, cool. So I was going to show a couple of products being analyzed with Solid Model Analyzer, SMA, as we call it. Are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I've got 3 products that I thought were kind of cool that it would take a while to make in a spreadsheet that I wanted to show you being analyzed and then shown as a Microvellum product and parts from there. So before I start, I did want to let you know that Solid Model Analyzer, along with the builders, has been given some major attention. One of the things that we ran into last year with the Solid Model Analyzer release was that our code was moving too fast for AutoCAD to be able to analyze things for us in real time. AutoCAD does have 2 different APIs. Some of this you may not care about. Some of it you might think is cool. There are 2 different APIs, a native and a managed, and the managed would crash on us if we read the geometry too fast in the drawings. So it seemed like SMA was slow because we had to throttle it to about 100 milliseconds per face on each of these parts. Since then, we went to Autodesk University and had some meetings with the guys there, and we found way to read the geometry a lot quicker with their native C++ API. So we built a whole new assembly inside of our deployment set to be able to take advantage of that. And what that means for you is that analyzation of products and parts is significantly faster. So we're happy about that for sure. Also, a lot of work that we put into it has to do with accuracy of the parts that we're analyzing. So every now and then we would get reports of missing data or pocket or something, and basically they just happened to be just outside of tolerances that we had set for the analyzer, so we got to work those out. And then another, what was previously a major issue was orientation of certain parts that were rotated on all three axes, but we've been able to work that out as well. So it no longer looks like the analyzer just kind of dumped parts all over your screen. Things are placed exactly where they should be. We also did add multi-core, multi-threaded processing for the analyzation. So what that means is we read all the geometry from AutoCAD, and then to traverse the solids for all the features around them, each part is thrown on a different thread. So if you've got 16 different cores on your processor, then you're analyzing 16 parts at a time. So that's kind of cool. So we definitely got the speed up there for sure. So some of the things I'm going to show you, we've got this product here. If you take a look, we've got an angled sink here for easy access for somebody. We've got the countertop with the sink cut out. So I've got solid model analyzer here on my shortcut bar. And so I'm just going to highlight these solids, and we're going to let it go to work. And so you can see right there, it was almost quicker than I said to go to work. So it shows us that it found a 0.75 material. One of the things that I did want to let you know is that if you're using the builder, you won't have to be choosing materials because you'll pre-specify those for your inserts and everything. Or you could assign them a couple of different ways through the drawing here. So, or you could just wait and let it prompt you to tell you what you found. So I got a 0.75 material here, and then 1.5 for that countertop it found. And then we're going to just draw this back in our current drawing here. And so just in a matter of a second or so, it took these solids that were just extruded solids inside of an AutoCAD drawing and turned it into a full manufacturable Microvellum product. So I'll show you, we'll look at this countertop here in 2D, and of course you'll recognize our 2D parts here, complete with lead-ins and lead-outs and bid assignments and all that good stuff. So another part we can take a look at here is the side there, complete with our drill holes and our profile and everything. So that's kind of cool. Another product that I thought was kind of interesting, let me close some of these, was this curvy thing. I don't know if it's some kind of cool shelf or what you want to do. I can't even remember where I got these solids from, but we'll analyze this and then show you what we get once it becomes a Microvellum product. So I hope you guys can see the difference in the timing here. It is significantly faster. We had some products that our data guys received from clients. They were throwing them at us. Previously, it would take like 40 minutes to analyze, and we were down to 90 seconds. So we're pretty happy with the way it goes. Not everything is 1 second like you're looking at here, but it's not like you need to go to get a cup of coffee and go to the restroom anymore for things to analyze. So we'll draw this in 2D. I particularly like this one. This is a shout out to my wife here. She is due a week from today to have our third child. So here's a pregnant woman's silhouette for you. All right, so you can see we're getting everything that we're wanting right from these drawings and being able to manufacture these. This is kind of a cool one, a hostess desk. You can imagine walking into Olive Garden, you got a girl standing back there asking for your name and how many in your party, right? So this is what this kind of is a little die wall. You could make this with our extruded products for sure. It's got studs and plates and ribs and everything. But still, it's pretty quick analyzation. So we'll draw this one back, and then we'll take a look at some of those in 2D. So we definitely got the exact same product, and this does exist in spreadsheet form now from those dump solids, with all our routing and all our machining. That was all dynamically created. So we could show one of these in 2D. You'll see that it's got full cutouts for the profile, pockets. You can control how big or small the cutout is to be pocketed, things like that. And then we'll take a look at this. This is kind of interesting. I like this one because it actually picked up a flaw in the modeling, which is cool. So, oh, we've already done that. Wrong button. The guy who modeled this did not make the ends of these two things even, so you had to cut it short right there. But that's, if you lay this over the top of the solid, it's actually like that. But you get your part, you get exactly what you analyzed. So that's what we've got for Solid Model Analyzer. Again, just to recap 3 quick points. So we've got speed using a new a native AutoCAD API. We've got accuracy of orientation, and then the multi-threading. And we're just continuing to work on this because we realize that both types of builder products completely rely on Solid Model Analyzer and how accurate it is. So we're going to do our absolute best for you guys. So got a couple of questions here. What version will have the new API? Some of those questions are going to be answered by Shane. I hope that Daniel and Clay are taking care of these questions that are coming in, though it looks like we have a lot of questions that are remain to be answered. So let's talk to Shane. Shane, are you there?
I am here.
All right. So we probably want to share your screen. I'll give you guys a little bit of an introduction to Shane. I think he's employee number 2 of Microvellum. He's been here as long as it's been named Microvellum. And he is currently our product quality administrator. Everything comes across his desk. He knows the state of the software. Any given day you can ask him and he can tell you how things are doing. So we've got a couple of questions for you, Shane, before. I know you had a slideshow or some slides you wanted to show us, but do you mind if we ask you some questions before we get into those?
Sure, yeah.
All right. So more than anybody, you are familiar with the changes that are occurring to the software. Where do we get the input that would cause us to make a change before we make a release? What kinds of places do we get those from?
Those happen, we get them from multiple places. A lot of times they come from eSupport via the tickets that get reported in, and then the agent will then pass it off to us in PQ, and then we'll in turn give that upline to development. We also get them from the feature request section of the website, of the forums, so we will constantly monitor those and look at those. And we also get them from, we spend a lot of time looking at the requests we get from TechCon and events like that to make sure that we're doing everything we need to make everybody to get those, because we do get a lot of really good feedback on that, and also from just our internal review of the software, trying to make it good for everybody, focusing on ease of use. We spend a lot of time working on that to make sure it works good.
All right. So let me ask you, we had TechCon this year here in Oregon in April. How many of the suggestions that were made from our users have been incorporated into this 15.5 build?
There were 35 suggestions that we were able to add in to this 15.5. It's a pretty good number.
Yeah, 35 unique, right? So if a dozen guys came to us and said they wanted a new spec group interface, well, we're not counting those.
Correct.
We worked it out. Yeah, cool. And that is only so far for sure. What about issues that have been reported through eSupport? How many of those have we fixed in preparation for this 15.5 build?
Yeah, there were 78 issues that we were able to fix up there and get them into this release. So that's a pretty big number, because a lot of those aren't very easy to fix. So it's a pretty good number.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And then have you been able to get a count on how many adjustments we made to the software altogether in preparation for this 15.5 release?
I did. We have quite a number. It's 308 that we were able to, we're going to release the differences between 15.4 and 15.5. So a lot of
308.
308. And that's just to date. So we're not done yet. So
All right, cool.
Stay tuned to the release notes to get the full number once it's finally released.
All right. You had some other information you wanted to share with us via some slides. Do you want to go ahead and show that to us and tell us what you got?
Yeah, so just a recap of kind of things that you can expect to see with 15.5. We were able to do vast improvements with our product builder technology that we've already talked about. And also,
we're not able to see your screen, I don't think.
Oops. Might help.
Clay, can you see your screen?
Just give me a second. There we go. You see it now?
There we go. All right. Yep, we got it.
All right, that might help. So yeah, so these are a quick recap of just a few of the things we've done. Like we talked about, we've vast improvements to the builder technology and also to the non-extruded custom products and also to the solid model analyzer. Complete redesign of the spec group interface. And also, it's a couple of recaps of other things we've been working on, which we haven't talked about. We've changed a lot with machine tokens, added a few machine tokens, and also made some adjustments to it to allow some greater flexibility with what they do. So we'll talk about that in later ones with the release notes and things like that. And we also spent a lot of time working on stability of the software. We get a lot of reports, so it crashes in this area. So we'll spend a lot of time shoring up those type of things to make sure it works good for everybody. And also, like I said before, spend a lot of time and adjustments working and focusing on ease of use for the end user to make it better for everybody. So keep in mind too that this new 15.5 that we're going to release, they will be available on 16 OEM, 17 OEM, and 18 OEM, and also for the same years for standard. So anything, if you're running one previous to 16, so 15 and below, you will need to upgrade to 16 or 8 to 17 or 18s, and you can speak to your account manager if you need to get updated on that. So keep that in mind.
So one of the questions that was coming in was the updates for solid model analyzer and the builders. They are all going to be available. All the benefits that we talked about earlier are going to be available for all three of those years, whether you're OEM or standard.
Correct.
16, 17, and 18.
Correct.
So we only support the last 3 years, just the same as AutoCAD does of any release. So you just might make a note and keep that in mind. We did look at the numbers, and we only have a pretty small percentage of people that are running 15 or older. And I notified the account manager yesterday to be contacting those users to make sure they're going to be up to date to take advantage of all the new stuff coming in 15.5. Dwayne Boyum asked the question, what if we're not able to use OEM? That's okay. That's what we're looking at on the slide there where it says standard. So if you have full AutoCAD, you've got the 15.5, then you will get everything that you were seeing today. All right. Sorry to interrupt you there, Shane.
No problem. So yeah, so as you can see, 2018, that's what we're releasing the public beta on, and also it's also a new feature, of course. So some of the new features of 18, if I can get this thing to work. So there's a few features. I won't read them all, but I'll leave them on the screen here for a little bit. And there's also a link there. Obviously, you can click on it, but you can go to their website and you can get an exhaustive list of all the differences between 18 and the previous years. You notice that there is some of the ones I noticed and appreciate the most were just the stability and the save functions. It is a lot better. In previous versions, it took a while to do a save in certain instances, and it went down in this one test from like 3 minutes to about 3 seconds. So a lot of good things happening there. And one more slide here. There's a few others. You notice they did change the DWGs. The format has changed this year in 18, so be cautious of that if you have going to mix this in with other versions. So keep that in mind. So a few things to look forward to in 2018. And like I say, that will be available with our public beta, so you can get your hands on it and start playing with it and experience for yourself. So that is about all, unless there's any questions.
All right, guys, we have any other questions for Shane while he's talking about some of the general details of the 15.5 release? Okay, well, we appreciate that you guys took the time to tune in. We hope that you guys are excited about the things that we have in store for you with this year's release. I think we'll go ahead and give our attention to Clay as he concludes our session here. I think he was in his office.
Yep, I'm here. All right. Sorry about that. I was having a little bit of mic difficulty. Okay, so thanks again, everyone, and Dominic for helping out with this special preview of what's coming up in the 15.5 update. As was mentioned, we are diligently working on testing this release, and we look forward to getting this update in the hands of our users soon. One fact that I feel we need to highlight that we might have missed, I think, for those of you who are considering upgrading or have like what you saw here today but are wondering if you have access to it, the beta version that we will be releasing out includes access to OEM 2018. So if you want to get your hands on the latest version of the OEM, see what might be in there, check out some of those stability improvements that Shane was mentioning that Autodesk has made. If you get signed up for that beta, you will have access to that. Not only will you have access to OEM 2018, but you also have access during the life of that beta cycle to the enterprise tier, which is our highest level tier that we cram all the new features into at no additional cost. So if you are considering upgrading, check out that beta when we release that. Keep your ear to the ground, as Dominic mentioned, on our help center, as we will be releasing out some information there related to the beta here shortly. There was also some questions that came in related to how ones might get access to some of these new tools. Whether Solid Model Analyzer is free, if it's the builders are free, or how that whole thing works. And so let me just take a few minutes here to explain how that works. So Solid Model Analyzer was previously made available in our enterprise tier, which, as I mentioned, is our highest level tier, which all the new features and functionality that we come out with gets dumped into that. And users that are in that tier have access to everything at no additional cost. But we've made, with the release of these new tools for the product builders, we have decided to shift a little bit and throw or change the access level of Solid Model Analyzer down to our premium tier. So if you are currently in our premium tier, you will now be getting an additional feature, which is what Dominic showed in this webinar today, of Solid Model Analyzer at no additional cost. So definitely this is a huge value add coming down the pipe there to users who are in that tier. Our product builder technology, what you saw for the custom products and the extruded type products, that is available in our enterprise tier at no additional cost. And if you're looking to upgrade to that specific thing without upgrading into that other tier, you can also add that on as well. So if you want more information about how we handle that and where you might be in as far as our tiers, definitely let us know as you exit the webinar today, and we'll have one of our reps contact you and help you out with that decision-making process. Before we end today, I just want to take a second here and showcase one of the events that we have coming up here soon. If you're looking at getting a little bit more training, maybe you're looking at upgrading from version 6.7 or early version of version 7 into the latest release here, on August 30th and 31st, we will be in Kitchener, Ontario, up in Canada, for a regional training event hosted at Conestoga College. This event's going to cater to those who are just getting started with Microvellum, but also provide some advanced training as well. We'll have some of our high-level senior technicians there on site leading those training events, and we'll even have a shop tour of the Wood Technology Center there at the college. So if you want more information on that event, head over to our website where you can learn more and even register for it. We've definitely appreciated you guys. This is staying on with us. We are about 12 minutes over the allotted time, but
one more thing, Clay.
Yeah, go ahead.
We forgot to let everybody know that everybody that was sitting in on this webinar, we're going to be sending you an email when the beta is available for the functionality that you saw today. So
Awesome.
we're not. I don't think it's going to be this week. It'll be next week sometime.
Awesome. That's great information. So definitely watch out on the Help Center as well as your email for notification there on when you can get your hands on this this beta. We're looking forward to having many people testing it out and providing this feedback. So again, we appreciate everyone staying with us. We ran a little bit over, but as you exit the webinar, please do not forget to take that exit survey. Your feedback helps us improve these events, so let us know how we did. So I definitely hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you on our next Microvellum-LIVE event.